Moving back to our main headline, I'm Howard Hurst.
And I'm Linda Stella Manis.
And coming back to our main headline, our in focus today is the U.S. border crackdown in Iraq. The U.S. top general in Iraq recently this week outlined a plan to close borders with Syria and other bordering nations. Linda, what are the problems with this security measures?
Well, they're closing down the border. How exactly do they plan to do that? How are they going to shut down all the borders?
I think that's a valid point. There's obviously a lot of terrain which is not monitored, which will not necessarily be effective in this security plan. That's a very valid point.
So, Howard, tell me about any notable results since the security crackdown starting last Wednesday.
Well, this new crackdown actually has seen some positive results, as since Wednesday, the number of casualties, specifically civilian casualties in Iraq, has decreased markedly, and that's a very positive and hopeful outcome. Linda, how does this recent security plan coincide with Bush's overall plan for Iraq?
Well, this effort is in congruity with Bush's desire to change the tide in Iraq and to quell the violence in Baghdad. This information makes it seem that Bush's planned troop surge is a good idea.
Well, certainly there's been a lot of heated debate in the House on Bush's surge. This coincides with recent protests against the war and growing public concern about the U.S. involvement in Iraq. Linda, maybe you can tell us, our listeners, about the non-binding resolution that passed the House on Friday, and also what we can expect from the Democrats and authors of this bill and how this resolution will play into the future of Iraq.
Well, the authors of the resolution proposed pulling troops out and stabilizing the Iraqi government in order for U.S. troops to come home. The vote in the Senate today may determine the course of events to come in Iraq. As New York Senator Chuck Schumacher described the Saturday resolution vote, a crucial vote not just for the moment or for the week, but for the history of America.
Well, that's very interesting, and Linda, I think we should take a moment to see, is the fact that the Senate is voting on a Saturday significant or not? What do you think?
Well, the Saturday vote is actually a big deal because previously Saturday votes have been reserved for impeachment measures and recently the Tarian Shivo case.
That's very interesting. And what about the implications of this Saturday for senators, Democratic senators?
Well, some of the Democratic senators are hoping to run in the next presidential campaign, and this Saturday they would be making stops and touring on their potential campaign trips. For example, I know that Hillary Clinton planned on campaigning in New Hampshire today. Barack Obama was supposed to be in South Carolina and Virginia campaigning. Joe Biden in Iowa, and Chris Dodd scheduled in South Carolina. And not to mention, I'm sure most of these senators had plans for their long 3-day presidential weekend.
Thank you, Linda. Well, we'll certainly be looking forward to the Senate vote later today to determine the future of Iraq.
You're welcome, Howard, and I'd like to wish all of our listeners a happy and healthy President's Day weekend. And now for the Minority Report.